people, let me tell you, this story that I'm about to talk about is sad, it's tragic, it don't make no damn sense. But there's a lot to discuss here on the financial side. There's a lot to discuss here on the culture side. There's a lot to discuss here on the social side. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boys TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hello to everybody who's come in here today. Shout out the city that you're from. Let me know what city you're from. Also, don't forget that this platform is B1. B1 means we're Black first. That means we have conversations that you don't see in mainstream media. Black first means that we educate our damn kids. Black first means that we want our people to win. Black first means we want to take the lead. So give me a yes in the chat if you are Black first, if you identify that way. I want all the Black identity extremists in the building. I want everybody who is extreme in your Black identity. Not that you're ever going to hurt nobody or commit violence in your community or any other, but you are a defender of the Black family. You love the Black woman. You love the Black man. You love the Black community. You want Black people to win. Give me a yes in the chat if that's who you are. Shout out your city also. I see Fortune from Somerville, Don from Newark, Taurus from St. Louis, Nicholas from Atlanta. Let's see here. What else do I see? I see some other Wilmington. I see San Francisco. I see Cairo, Egypt. Very nice. I'm from Boston, but watching from Cairo, says Angela. Good for you, Angela. Angela's traveling the world. Let me encourage you. You got to travel. I was hanging out with another brother who knows a lot about Egypt by the name of Dr. Tony Browder. Give me a yes in the chat if you've heard of this brother. If you have not heard of Tony Browder, please look him up. Please look him up. Please look him up. He's more important than damn near anybody you ever learned about in your raggedy ass public school. He's a Black man who knows all about our people and what we've done and the great things that we've done in history. And I saw him at the Power Networking Conference at the George Fraser event. And I just love Tony. I talked to him for hours one time on a flight from Guyana. And I just really was impressed with him. And I just really want to shout him out because these are the types of people that you need to know about. You spend a lot of time learning about worthless people. You spend a lot of time learning about fake Black leaders who leave your community in a ditch. I'd rather you learn about people that are going to help you win. Now, let me give y'all the agenda. We got a little bit of an agenda today because we got an important show to cover some real deep issues in our community. And my goal is to make sure these are conversations of substance. And so as we get started, number one, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, if you stay till the end, I will give you, we'll dig into the financial side as well. And I'll give you guys a stock pick that I really love. So at the end, I'm going to give you the stock pick of the week. This is the stock I bought shares in, and I believe it's a good investment. And also, we're going to talk about some other things. And also, I want to mention to everybody, I have to say this. There are a lot of fake spam accounts that pretend, I guess if you're an influencer, there are people that clone your account and all that. So I have a lot of Boyce Watkins clones out there. I guess they say, what is it? Imitation is a form of flattery or a sign of respect or something. So they're imitating me. They're cloning me, and they're messaging a lot of you in the chat. And give me a yes if any of these people have hit you up. If they hit you up and say, hey, join my WhatsApp or sign up, give me money for this crypto thing or whatever, please don't do it. I don't want you to lose money. Also, please report that account so nobody else gets hurt. So I have to mention that that's a PSA I got to kind of start my conversation with. All right. So let me just dive right in. And so in this discussion, and by the way, we're on Spotify, in case y'all don't know. You look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify. We're on Spotify, Apple, all that. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you know, if I say the name Mike Hickman, how many of y'all know who Mike Hickman is? Give me a yes in the chat if you've heard the story about Mike Hickman. Mike Hickman, it was tragic as shit. It was the saddest story I ever saw. This brother, he's a youth football coach. He's a father. I believe he might be a grandfather, 43-year-old Black man. His son, Little Mike, was a player for a football team. I want to say the was it the Dallas Dragons? I can't remember. I got the story in front of me. I'll let you guys know for sure. But anyway, this guy gets in a situation where there's a fight after the football game, a fight over a call. There was a call made by the refs. The other team didn't like it. Mike Hickman was the guy who was he holds the down marker on the football field. That was his job. He held the down marker. And apparently it got out of control. Next thing you know, Mr. Hickman is no longer with us. He is now deceased. And the little children got the distinct pleasure of watching this man die. Right. And I'm joking when I say distinct pleasure. I'm being real cynical when I say that. They got the trauma. They were hand-delivered trauma. The black men that were supposed to be protecting them, the black men that were supposed to be guiding them, the black men that were supposed to be helping them become better men, served them a big bowl of trauma that's going to stay with them for the rest of their life. And so this story was really sad to me. It really hurt my heart. What really was interesting is that the mainstream media doesn't cover the deaths of black people unless we're killed by a white cop. If they can racialize it for their own political benefit, they like to do that. If it had been a white man who shot him, it would have been all over the news. But the fact that he was shot by a black man means that the news, mainstream white media doesn't cover this type of thing. And all those Negroes who work for these white media outlets are not allowed to cover these things because they don't own the platform. They don't own anything. So they're not able to actually talk about the things happening in our community. They can only talk about things that white folks allow them to talk about. Well, why am I talking about this? Well, I want to talk about this for one reason. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do this by proving a point. I'm going to ask y'all, everybody answer this question for me. Let's do a Dr. Boy's participation moment. I want everybody to answer this question. Yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. How many of you know a black man who's been killed by another black man or shot by another black man? Give me a yes or no if you know at least one black man who's been killed or shot by another black man. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Or a child or a woman or whatever. I know several. I know many black people who were killed by other black people. Now, I'm not going to use that term black on black crime because I don't want to get into the politically charged nature of these kinds of discussions. But if you want to censor what I talk about, then I can be the first to tell you to kiss my whole entire black ass because you're not having the right conversations. There's a lot of this stuff going on. And as sad as I am when George Floyd gets killed by the white cop, I am just as sad when a black woman gets killed by a black man. Just the same way I was sad when Eric Garner got killed by the white cop. I'm just as sad when a black man dies at the hands of his own brother. In fact, I might even be a little more sad. I expect the enemy to be the enemy, but I don't expect the ally to be the enemy. You see, my father used to love old Godfather movies. My father is he's a little bit of a thug. He went to the Vietnam War. He's killed people before. He was a cop for 25 years. And so he liked all those Godfather movies. And he used to say to me, he said to me when I was younger, he said, you keep your enemies close and your friends closer. And I said, wait a minute, what? And he said, yeah, keep your enemies close and your friends closer. I said, no, but I think you have it the other way around. It's to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. He said, no. He said, you keep your friends closer because your friends are the ones that are the quickest to take you out. He said, you ready for your enemies. When your enemies come in, you like this. You ready to fight. When your friend comes in, you'll turn your back so he can put the knife right in it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And in fact, that's how the mafia would kill people. I saw this whole story about a guy who pissed off a mafia boss, and he didn't send the enemy to kill him. He didn't send a bunch of armed gunmen that he didn't know. He sent his very best friend to the house so that he would let him in, go to the fridge to get him a beer, and then pop back in the head. That's how you do it. It ain't your enemies that take you out. Sometimes it's going to be your allies. It's going to be your friends. It's going to be the person that looks like you. And that's what I see when I see some of this crazy stuff that happens in our community. I don't think, first off, I don't think the whole community has to take responsibility for every ignorant thing that another black person does. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. I don't think, most of y'all, give me a yes in the chat if you are a person who would never, ever shoot another black person under almost any circumstance, unless you really had to. Somebody's trying to kill your family or hurt your daughter. I get that. But all those bets aside, give me a yes in the chat if you are a person who would never, ever, 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 ever shoot another person. Okay, right. So I think that's important to acknowledge because, excuse me, when we have these conversations, we get into these discussions sometimes where we'll be like, we need to stop doing this, or we need to start doing better, or we need to, and it's like, where's the we? Where's the we? Most of the black men I know are real men. Most of the black men I know are not going to shoot somebody over a goddamn Pee Wee League football game, even over a grown-up football game. Seriously, so I think that's important to understand and acknowledge that most Black people don't do this shit at all. Most Black people don't think this is cool. And by the way, I'm gonna stop cussing. I know it's Sunday, so I'm gonna try to slow it down, but y'all know I gotta let it out. Most Black people are not going to do this kind of thing. And I think that's important to kind of start the discussion there so we don't get to where we're beating ourselves up or saying, oh, it's the Black on Black crime. It's Black people wanting to kill each other and every Black person wants to stab their sister and brother. No, we don't do that. But Black people, that's not, like Joe Biden used to say, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't Black. That old raggedy crap he said. Well, if you want to kill other Black people, then you ain't Black. If you want to kill your brother, then you ain't Black. I'm sorry. That's my vote right now, that if you're trying to kill other Black people, you ain't Black. In fact, you're worse than a Klansman, because if a Klansman is coming, that's my enemy. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that fight. But when my brother shows up, I'm expecting love. I'm expecting support. I'm expecting something that's mutually beneficial. I'm not expecting my brother to be the guy who kills me. So let's just be clear about that. So do me a favor, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done that yet. Like I said, I mentioned to you guys earlier at the end of the conversation, I always give you guys a stock pick of the week. So I'm gonna give you a stock pick of the week since we're starting the week right now. So we're talking about Mike Hickman. Mike Hickman is a brother who was killed at a youth football game. He was apparently one of the officials. He carried the first down marker. That's an important job. That's where you mark the first downs and all that. And I read the whole story. And basically, and I'm a big football fan. I'm an Ohio State Buckeye. I used to be a track coach, so I never coached football, but I used to play it all the time. And I love football. Even when football season starts now, I follow the NFL. I follow college football, all that stuff. So the story was really interesting. So here's what happened. Basically, there were two teams, and it was literally. And here's the shit that's crazy to me. That this makes me say, why did somebody have to die on this day? I'm not saying I would get it if it was like the championship, but at least with the championship, you can be like, okay, the emotions got out of control. It was the national championship or the league title, guys, it wasn't even like it was a playoff game. In fact, it wasn't even a regular season game. You know what it was? I swear to God, I'm not kidding. It was a scrimmage. Scrimmages, in case you don't know, in case you don't follow sports, a scrimmage ain't even a real fucking game. A scrimmage is what you do for fun, to just see if your quarterback can throw the ball, if your defenders know how to play. A scrimmage is literally, so this was a scrimmage for 8-year-olds, 8 and 9-year-olds. That's what this was. So I really want you to sit for a moment, and I need us to kind of collectively meditate on the sheer niggerosity, on the extraordinary niggatry of this idea of a Black man being murdered over a youth scrimmage. I need y'all to kind of pop in on that. Somebody says, stay on topic, bro. This is where you lose us. No, if I lose you, then you ain't supposed to be here. If I lose you, then I need you to go, because I need us to stop for a moment as Black people and process what this looks like, feels like, how this looks to the children, just what this is. And this is, and again, you guys know, I could talk about the economics of this, and I'm going to break down the economics, but also I'm not a finance professor who happens to be Black. I am a Black man who happens to be a finance professor. My PhD is legit. You can look it up. I got it from Ohio State. But I have a bigger PhD in Black male-itis, and the many things that hold us back as people. And one of the problems that we have as Black men, one of the reasons you're not respected around the world, one of the reasons that your families are falling apart, one of the reasons that you have so many issues is that you have too many 45-year-old teenagers in your community. You have too many men who, for whatever reason, never grew up. You have too many men who cling on to a culture. BET, that white-owned network that does content for Black people to control your minds, BET will say, this is the culture. This is the culture. And what I see when I see the culture is I see a lot of really irresponsible behavior on the part of Black men, where you're looking up to men like the rapper Future with 8 kids with 8 babies mamas. You're looking up to men who run around rapping about murdering other Black people. If a white person did it, you go crazy. But a Black person does it, you think it's lit. You have a culture that talks about extreme financial irresponsibility, which I'm going to get to that because there's a huge financial angle to this. Whenever you have some this little this little wannabe gangster thugging and you a millionaire, oh, it's going to have a financial angle. I'm about to break all that down for you. So my point is to say that you have a big issue of immaturity being heavily pushed in the Black community. The grown-ass men are not the men that they put on TV. They don't put the mature Black men on TV. They don't put the responsible Black men on TV. They don't put the good husbands and fathers on TV. They always introduce you to crazy, weird gangster thugs who want to throw their life away at every available opportunity. And unfortunately, there's a lot of men who imitate this behavior. Why? Well, because media matters. You might think, well, it's just a song. It's just a movie. It's just entertainment. Well, ain't no such thing as just entertainment. You don't understand. My wife is one of the world's leading experts on the subconscious mind. And one of the things she talks to me all the time, she said, your mind don't know the difference between make-believe and real life half the damn time. Your subconscious mind, you might think it's just entertainment, and that's where they get you. That's where they get you. Shout out to the Jewish community who was smart enough to create Hollywood, where they know the power of media in terms of shaping people's minds. In the 1970s, when they started putting pimp movies on TV, and Goldie the Pimp became one of the most respected Black men in America, guess what? My daddy's generation, they talked about how they started dressing like pimps. Go look at anybody got a daddy who used to try to dress like a pimp back in the day with some old crocodile boots and a big old furry hat with a feather in it and a big long coat. Did anybody remember that? Anybody remember when Black men were dressing like pimps? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody got a daddy or a granddaddy? Maybe I'm 50, so maybe it's your granddaddy. Anybody go look at old pictures of your granddaddy from the 70s, and you'll probably find some evidence of pimpatry up in some of those pictures. You're gonna find some images that will disturb you because he watched something in a movie and he started imitating that. He started personifying that. What do you think Snoop Dogg got these lyrics like, we don't love them hoes? Why do you think Snoop was running around with Bishop Magic Don Juan, a big guy in a big shiny lime green suit with a pimp cane, and Snoop Dogg, you would show up to the VMA Awards with two women on a leash? Well, because pimping became cool. Disrespecting your women became like how you presented yourself as a man. That was something media created. Hollywood created that. They could have created Black men who wanted to be intelligent. They could have created a group of Black men who wanted to be computer engineers. They could have created Black men that wanted to go out and take care of their families, but no, they created Black men who fulfilled these stereotypes. And so when I see this incident with Mike Hickman being killed on a football field over something that was preventable, that happened in front of children, where there was the involvement of at least a couple of 45-year-old teenagers, that's what I think about. I think about the fact that a lot of lives were lost on this day, not just his. But I'm gonna talk about Aqib Talib, the former NFL star who started the fight. Some of y'all wonder why Aqib's picture is up there. The reason Aqib Talib, who was a great football player, who made millions of dollars, who had a lot to lose, was in the picture is because Aqib Talib, according to the witnesses and according to some video that I saw, he allegedly started this fight. Now, again, I think things need to be settled out in court. I can't be the judge and jury of any of this, but a lot of the people that were there were saying he threw the first punch. He was the first one that went out to get gangster. And now he's going to pay. Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. Aqib Talib, let me look up. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button while we do this. And if you agree with anything that's being said here, I hope you'll share this video because I think young Black men need to see this. I really do. It's in young Black people, period. Let me see here. Aqib Talib, Aqib Talib in 2018 made $11 million. Over the course of his NFL career, he made $55,744,558. He got a $9.5 million signing bonus one year. So this brother was bad. This brother could play football. In fact, there's another stat here. Maybe that number might be low. There's another one here at overthecap.com that says that his career earnings were $72 million. So maybe they're missing some. In fact, there's another article here on Broncos Wire that says he looked at his money 10 times a day. This brother looked at his money 10 times a day. So what I really want to ask him, and I'm not judging, I'm not being mean, I'm not dissing, I'm just saying, brother, if you was looking at your money 10 times a day, were you looking at your money when you decided to run out onto the football field and get wrapped up into some gangster shit that might leave your brother in prison for life and leave you broke? I'm not dogging it. I'm not dogging the brother at all. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to get clarity here. I would just like to know, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? Because here's the thing. One thing my daddy taught me is he said that when you are a man who has a lot to lose, you don't want to really be kicking it with men who have nothing to lose. He said, if you have a lot to lose, you don't want to be kicking it with guys who have nothing to lose, because you're going to try to get thugged out like them. You're going to try to match their gangster with your gangster. They take it to the limit. You want to take it to the limit because you want to prove your manhood, but you can't do that, bro, because you made damn near $75 million in your career. You have something to lose. You run out, you punch somebody in the club, you're getting sued for that. And they're going to sue you for everything. Because lawyers, you know that song, let's get to that money, let's get to that money, let's get to that money, let's get to that money. Every good lawyer wakes up to that song. They know how to get to that money. They get to that money, they get to that money, they get to that money. They will find the person in every lawsuit. I really believe this about lawyers. Some of y'all might be attorneys in here, so I'm not trying to offend y'all, but I hate every one of you. But unless you're on my side, then I love you. And here's the thing about lawyers. When lawyers go looking to sue and they see somebody gets hurt or killed, first thing they do, I believe, is they say, who has deep pockets that we can go after first? And you might have literally just been in the stands watching the game. You might have just literally said something like, go get them. And then they'll sue you for saying, go get them. They'll try and they throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. So ultimately, when you're talking about this, and so somebody says, boy, stay in your lane, you're demeaning and demonizing black men and black women. No, you stay in your lane. I'm a finance PhD, Musa. So all due respect, brother, I need you to stay in your lane and understand that when I'm talking about this money, I'm not speaking out of thin air. I have a doctorate in money. And one thing I can tell you is that this brother is going to get sued for millions and millions of dollars. I mean, how much economic value can you put on a human life? How much value can you put on a human life? And the reason that the media has made a big deal of the fact that Aqib allegedly threw this first punch is because they know the implications of this. And this reminds me, this makes me think about, again, how bad culture conflicts with your economic objectives. That if you have a culture where you believe that if somebody steps on your toe at the club, you're supposed to pull out a strap, well, then that culture is going to conflict with their economics, because guys who pull out a gun at the club eventually get sued and they lose everything. So ultimately, this is a hugely economic conversation. This is not just about the tragedy of a man losing his life over something silly. It just makes me wonder what this brother was thinking. And so anyway, I'm gonna dig more deeply into this. Before I do that, I want to remind everybody, don't forget this podcast is on Spotify. If you want to watch it on Spotify, my website is boycewatkins.com. And also, we have financial flashcards for kids. If you want your kids to understand economics, feel free to go to financialflashcards.com and take a look. I think you'll like what you see. All right, so thumbs up, share, subscribe. So here's the deal. So from what I understand, the league immediately banished the team from the league. They banned the team immediately. The team's disbanded. It no longer exists. All the players on the team are allowed to go play for other teams. The general manager has been banned for life. And I think that that's great. I think I like that response because it shows definitive, clear leadership on the part of those who are running this league. So while we did see immature behavior on this football field, the league was being run by grown-ups. The league was being run by grown-ups who understand that you can't have grown men acting like children and killing each other over a little league football game. So I like the league's response. I was very impressed by that. The other question I want to ask y'all, give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. Y'all know about this thing called CTE. It's basically a brain damage that a lot of NFL players get. Aqib Talib was in the NFL for 12 years. How many of you, give me a yes in the chat, how many of you believe that Aqib could be affected by CTE like so many other NFL players out there? I spent time talking to a brother named who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Antoine Randall L., who was Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken, and a great player who had 10 or 12 years in the league. And I asked him one time, I was at an Eton Thomas event. Eton Thomas is a buddy of mine who played for the Washington Wizards, real smart guy, quality black man. That's why you'll never see him in mainstream media, because he's too solid. They don't put solid men in media. They put the goofballs in media. So Etan Thomas had this event on fatherhood. Again, another thing that isn't going to be covered in mainstream media. We're going to have to take charge of that. And I'm talking to Antoine Randall L. backstage before we go on stage together. And I'm sitting here looking at him, and my first thought is, wow, this is Antoine Randall L. He played at Indiana. I went to Indiana, and I taught at Indiana University for a while. And so I knew his name. And I'm looking at him. The first thought I had was, wow, this guy's the same height as me. Maybe I could have played in the NFL. Obviously, I'm lying to myself, but as a former football player, you know, you get there's a little bit of hating going on. But I sat and I talked to this brother. He was super intelligent and super kind and respectful, and I love talking to him. And let me tell you what Antoine told me that I thought was really fascinating. I said to him, I said, hey, man, so this CTE thing, I said, how many players do you know kind of get this? Because, you know, the CTE research, if you watch that Will Smith movie, it started in Pittsburgh where Antoine played. Pittsburgh was where they discovered CTE. So Antoine had been in ground zero of this, and it's even deeper once I finished telling you the story. It was fascinating to me. It was almost like God meant for this discussion to happen. So Antoine tells me, he says, oh man, a lot of my friends have been affected by this. He said, you know, like you'll see a guy and he'll walk up to you and you haven't seen him for years. He'll be like, hey, what's up? And you'll shake hands. And then like 2 minutes later, he'll see you and be like, hey, what's up? Like he didn't even see you 2 minutes earlier. Like he literally has seen you for the first time. And he said, he said, sometimes you get dizzy. You can't walk down the steps. You forget, you'll be driving home with your kids and you forget how to get to your house. Scary shit, like really scary stuff. You know, and this, hearing this really made me think, like, should we really be pushing our boys to play football as much as they do? So anyway, here's the kicker. Here's the part that I didn't know was going to happen. So Antoine and I have this discussion. We go on stage and we part ways. Never see Antoine again. Never forgot the conversation. Never saw him again. About less than a year later, Antoine is on the cover of USA Today. And Antoine says, I wish I had never played football in my life. He says, I wish I'd never played football in my life. And that was an astonishing statement from a man who had literally achieved every single football goal and dream I ever had. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to dream about being in the Super Bowl. He lived that dream and said that dream was actually a nightmare. And so I bring this up because I really think our community needs to really assess carefully our relationship with sports and our overcommitment to sports, and even the fundamentally flawed idea that sports is going to be your number one ticket to get out the hood or get out your situation. No, sports ain't going to get you out of your situation. Education will get you out of your situation. Football and basketball ain't going to get you out of your situation. Learning how to make money and starting a business, black man, that'll get you out of your situation. You know, do you understand that 99.9% of all kids that play football never make a nickel playing football? Do you know how good the athletes are? If you went and just literally scooped up the athletes who were rejected by the NFL, these guys are Superman level athleticism. They're athletic. I mean, I was good. I was fast. I was captain of my track team. I was pretty strong. I was faster than every kid on the entire football team. That's why they wanted me to play football so bad, because I had big muscles and I literally out sprinted their fastest sprinters. Do you know that when I saw athletes who literally played at the University of Kentucky, which is not known for football at the time, they really sucked. Do you understand that I would get on the basketball court with these guys or race these guys, and I felt like I was running against supermen? Their athletic abilities off the chain, and this was at the University of Kentucky. They didn't even go to the NFL in Kentucky. And all these guys, I swear to God, it freaked me out. I remember I was pretty logical for a 19-year-old, and I would be like, you think you're going to the NFL, but you play for Kentucky. Like, there's guys at Alabama that are better than you. They're Texas and Ohio. You can't. You're at Kentucky. That's not going to happen. Is that you? What's your plan B, bro? You got a plan B, right? They would have. A lot of these guys had no plan B. Going through school, can't even read, literally thinking that you're going to go to the NFL. Well, why wouldn't you think that? Because if you have to be extraordinarily good to even get a chance to even play at a mediocre school like a Kentucky. Their team's better now, but they pretty much generally aren't that great. So my point is to say that black men have been misled by this whole sports illusion. That's my point. I think sports are fun. I think sports are an awesome way to learn about hard work. I think sports are a great way. Sports taught me a lot about consistency, discipline, mental toughness, setting goals, teamwork. I learned a lot of those things from sports. But one thing I didn't learn from sports was how to go make that bread. I learned how to make that bread by taking classes on entrepreneurship. I learned how to make that bread by becoming an investor. I learned how to make that bread by engaging in the critical thinking necessary to survive this society as a Black man where people want to take you out every single day of the week. So what I'm sitting here trying to tell you is that you're getting the wrong messages. That's why so many of your men are failing. That's why you have a community with where you have some pockets of it, not the entire community, but you've got a lot of these 45-year-old teenagers who unfortunately were influenced by this media that wants to see you fail. They want to see you broke. They want to see you fall on your face so they can say, ha ha, look at those people. That's what they do. That's what they do. You give a Negro $80 million, he's going to blow it. He's going to give it all to his white and Jewish attorneys and whoever, because they're going to be defending his ass because he went to the club and got caught up in some bullshit. That's my point. That's what I'm saying to you. So let me keep going. Do me a favor. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. I apologize for cussing, but I'm not really. It's an apology, but not really an apology because it's who I am, and I can't apologize for that. And so the one thing I want to mention is in a couple minutes I'm going to let you guys know my stock pick of the week, and I also want to remind everybody, in case you don't know, we have the All Black National Convention happening in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a gathering of Black people who want to succeed. It's a gathering of Black people who love their families. It's a gathering of Black people who love the community. It is extraordinary. It's the premier gathering for those who care about Black wealth, Black family, Black relationships, Black people, Black politics, all that. If that's your kind of thing, if that's who you are, then I hope you'll join us. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina at the downtown Sheraton, October 28th through the 30th. You can learn more at boycewatkins.com. There's a link to buy passes. There's a link to become a vendor if you have a Black-owned business. There's also a link to get a discount on the hotels. Do not pay the full hotel rate. I want you to tell the Sheraton you're with the All Black National Convention. Your rate should be $139 a night, not $280 or $290 or whatever they want to quote you, okay? So boycewatkins.com is where you can go get information there. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. We're talking about the story of Mike Hickman, who was unfortunately a Black man who was killed on the football field down in Texas. And it was really sad. And I believe that's Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib is in the story because Aqib allegedly, according to the witnesses, was a guy that threw the first punch that led to the melee. His brother Aqib Talib is the one who is accused of pulling the trigger and shooting down Mike. And Mike lost his life in front of children. And I think it's tragic and I think it sucks. So here's the next thing that I am really concerned about. And this is more of a Black thing. This is Black voice talking, not just a financial voice. But I'm really curious about this media, this media. The ESPNs and the Negroes that work for the ESPN, and I exclude people like Kendrick Perkins, and also I think Jason Whitlock is actually the guy who covered the story and that got my attention. But there are a lot of these Black media personalities. With Jamel Hill and a few others, even Jalen Rose, who I really like, and I really don't understand why they aren't covering this topic. I really don't understand why they aren't covering this topic with the same level of seriousness that they would cover, a police shooting of a Black man by a white cop. I really don't get. Or if it were a white person, if a white NFL player had been on that field and threw the first punch, and his crazy white brother had shot the Black kid, I really believe that that the reaction will be different. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you think that this situation will be seen differently in the media if it were white on Black, if it had the racial triggers that we're accustomed to. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you agree. Now, as you answer that question, I want to. Somebody's asking about a college fund for his kids. I don't have a link to a college fund, but let me just tell you this: Mike Hickman's kids are going to be good financially because, like I said, there's going to be a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit. I'd be stunned if there wasn't one filed probably already or very soon that's going to lead to his kids literally being wealthy for the next 3 generations. They're going to get wealthy off of all the money that Aqib Talib made while he was playing in the NFL. Like they said, they didn't spend no time in the gym, but they're going to get all that bread. Whatever he's got, whatever money he's going to make, I bet you that's in jeopardy now. I'm not a lawyer, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a big major lawsuit coming. So honestly, you ain't got to open up a GoFundMe for Mike Hickman's kids, in my view, because I believe they're going to be financially well off. So here's the deal. I personally think that that we have to understand as a community, one of the big things we got to realize is that the reason media isn't covering this story is because it doesn't fit the convenient narrative. It doesn't fit the convenient narrative that's full of all these racial triggers that they use to control you, to keep you enslaved mentally, so that you think that all your enemies are people with white skin. I don't believe that. I've never believed that. I've never believed that that white people are my only adversary in this world. I never even believe all white people are my adversary. I'm around white people who don't even bother me. They don't care. As long as I ain't trying to beg them for a job or something, they literally don't care. They don't bother me. They don't mess with me. None of that. I'm not saying all white people are wonderful and good, but then again, we know all black people ain't wonderful and good. I know. I mean, if I really was to make a list of the people who made it the hardest for me in the last few years, I can't name any white people because I'm not even around them. I don't even talk to them on a regular basis. And so really, I think with this Mike Hickman shooting, which occurred at this Little League football game, I really think we have to spend time. If we really want to solve problems in our community, we've got to get out of the slavery box. And the slavery box is where they enslave not your body, but they've enslaved your mind. The slavery box is where you're only allowed to discuss things like Black Lives Mattering when those Black lives are taken by a white person. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? If an Asian man had killed him, if a white man had killed him, it would get all kinds of media attention because it hits those racial triggers and invokes your fear. But if a black man does it, it's like we act like it didn't even happen. Y'all know how many black people get shot and killed every week in Chicago by other black people? And it freaks me out that the media acts like it didn't even happen. Like those people don't even matter. They don't even exist. And the only thing I can think of is that there's something mentally wrong with us, that we are trained to believe a black life does not matter if you were killed by a black person. So I'm going to say this. Why don't we do this for a moment? I think we need to memorialize Mike Hickman. Whether Mike, maybe for all we know, Mike could have started the fight. I don't know. I have no idea. There's some stories I'm going to read to you. But seriously, I think we should memorialize him. Everybody type Mike Hickman in the chat. Hickmon. Everybody type, or Mike. Just type Mike. You know, it's something in the chat to commemorate this brother, to just say that his life matters, even if white media doesn't talk about it. I think his life matters as much as Eric Garner. His life matters as much as George Floyd. His life matters as much as any of the other police shootings that we've been talking about. Trayvon Martin. His life matters more than as much as any of those other lives. And I think it's important for us to do that because we have it all backward. We literally ignore the deaths of black people when they are killed by other black people. And I believe that part of your achievement of your liberation as black folks is going to come from understanding you must protect your children from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Not every black person is mentally well. This Aqib Talib, let me just tell you this. I read up on Aqib Talib's whole bio. I read up on his brother Yaqub. And let me just tell you this. I'm not dissing them. I'm not attacking these guys, but I am calling it for what it is. There's a lot. They had a big reputation for being what only could be described as thugs. They had a reputation for a lot of thugging. There were shootings in the club that led to investigations they were connected to. There was this idea. There was one woman who said that I could have prevented it all because before the different games, I would go to Yaqub and Aqib and tell them, hey, we're not going to do that today. This ain't going to happen on my watch. And I'm sorry, if your friends are saying like, hey, we had to slow them down because they like to bully other people and go crazy and go ballistic and overdo it at a children's football game, then I believe those people. I believe that there's something to what they're saying. And so at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's a little bit interesting when I read all the different stories, and the image that I picked up from reading all this is that there's a mental health issue going on with those two brothers. And again, it might be from football. One of the things that got my attention about CTE with Aaron Hernandez, thank you, Grace, for mentioning his name. Aaron Hernandez, in case you don't remember him, he was an NFL star that played for the New England Patriots. And he had CTE, severe CTE. And one of the things I picked up on with CTE was that what it does, one of the things that it seems to do is it kills your impulse control. So when the rest of us get in a situation, we get so mad, we're like, I could have killed him, I could have punched him. You don't do it because you don't want to go to jail, you don't want to kill nobody, you don't want to go to prison for life, right? Well, CTE, unfortunately, can shut that part of your brain down, that prefrontal cortex that says, hey, don't really kill him. You can think it, but you can't actually do it. Well, Aaron Hernandez actually did it. And one of the reasons why they had trouble investigating the deaths that were connected to Hernandez is because they were like, it makes no logical sense that an NFL star who was just in the Super Bowl a month ago would be at the club shooting somebody. That don't even make no damn sense. So they didn't even investigate the guy for a long time because it wasn't logical. Well, in the mind of somebody with CTE, I'm going to guess that what we think is logical isn't really logical. So what you're dealing with here, in my view, is severe mental health issues that aren't really discussed on a regular basis. And also, both Aqib and Yaqub, both of those brothers played a lot of football. Aqib made it to the NFL, but he gives Yaqub a lot of credit for getting him to the NFL by showing him how to play football. So I'm willing to bet you that Yaqub, if you ask him about his football history, he's probably spent a lot of time on the field. And you don't just get CTE in the NFL, they get it in high school. They get it in college. So you got a lot of black men who are walking around with a lot of brain damage. And it's not something to make fun of. It's not something to criticize, but it's a fact that people ignore. Whenever you hear a story, I'm going to kid you, here's what goes on in my mind. Maybe I'm a little brain damaged. Who knows? I took some hits to the head when I was a baby. But whenever I hear a story about a man losing his temper and beating up a woman or punching out a cop, or what's that brother's name? Henry Ruggs III. Anybody know about Henry Ruggs III, who played for the Raiders? Henry Ruggs III got drunk, 22 years old, just signed a massive contract, $16 million contract. A lot of that money was guaranteed. Got drunk, got in a car, was driving 156 miles an hour down the Vegas Strip or something, and hits a lady. It rear ends a lady. The car blows up. The lady burns alive in the car. And now Henry Ruggs III is facing 20, 30, 40 years in prison. I think up to 50 years in prison right now. These are things happening right now. So whenever I hear stories like that, I start thinking about CTE because Henry played for Alabama. And you can't tell me you can be a wide receiver at Alabama without taking some hits to the head. So again, it doesn't excuse anything. It's not an excuse. You know, you got to live with that. You got to live with your choices. And the world isn't quite evolved enough to factor in mental health, especially with a black man. If these were white women, there'd probably be more empathy for that. But for black men, this is what I'm saying to you. I think that when we're talking about really protecting our sons, I really think that as intelligent people, we have to stop and assess our relationship with football. For example, again, Mike Hickman was killed at a little league football game. It wasn't even a game. It was a scrimmage. It wasn't like it was the championship. It wasn't the playoffs. It wasn't even a regular season game. It was a scrimmage amongst peewee children. And so one question I would ask, and this is it's kind of, I'm really actually connecting two detached issues here, but I really wonder, just speaking on football, why can't little kids play flag football? Flag football, I play flag and I play tackle. Tackle kind of hurts. And when you're 8, I don't really know if tackle is necessary. Flag really gives you skills. You got to have good footwork and speed, and so and it's fun, and and you're not traumatized. Maybe flag is better for kids at that age. But then again, when they get older, things happen, and I'm probably a hypocrite on this because I'm a football fan, right? So a lot of us are conflicted by all of this, but I think because so many black men are affected by this, we have to think it through. And I encourage, and one thing I would tell you, anybody in here who has a son, how many of y'all have sons? Give me a yes in chat if you got a son. Say your son's name. Let's shout out our black boys, our little black kings that are going to grow up and become millionaires and very successful. I know they're going to be successful because their parents are watching platforms like this. This is for intelligent people. This is not for everybody. Losers don't watch this channel. Winners watch this channel. So you're going to be a winner. So your kids are going to be winners. Shout out the name of your son. All right. So I think that overall, when you talk about protecting your son, I think it's important to kind of think carefully about what you want your son to be exposed to. And maybe I'm a little biased because I've just seen things. I've been around the world. I've met thousands of people. I've seen things. And let me tell you, the saddest thing I ever saw, and again, this is not meant to make anybody sad, scared, or traumatized, but I want to share this story because it was really affected me. Back in 2009, I got a call from Jesse Jackson's people to go see this kid who was in a hospital. And he was 32 years old. And when he was 17, he was a high school football star, a wide receiver, just like wide receiver. Who else was I thinking that was a wide receiver? Oh, just like Henry Ruggs III, he was a wide receiver. And this kid took a hit that paralyzed him from the neck down. 17 years old, prime of your life. You're about to start the great journey of life. Getting girls, living life, having fun, going to college to play football. All that's gone. He gets paralyzed from the neck down. So when he gets paralyzed from the neck down, the high school that he's with, everybody's sad, of course, and everybody's praying for him and all that. And of course, none of the prayers healed him. And they promised him, they said, we're going to take care of you for the rest of your life. You don't have to worry about any medical bills, right? What they did not tell him, though, was that they didn't think he was going to live that long. Because when you get paralyzed from the neck down, you don't understand. You can't, even talking or breathing or eating is really hard to do when you're paralyzed from the neck down. You'd be amazed how much you need the rest of your body just to do basic things like that. Forget, saying hi, waving your arms at people and running down the street. You ain't doing that no more. So he's paralyzed from the neck down. So this kid, because he's so resilient, because he's black, and black people are just very powerful like that. He goes to the hospital and he tries to find a way to live a normal life. He never learns how to use his arms and legs. And instead of surviving 3 or 4 or 5 years like they thought he would, he survived another 15 years. He was 32 years old when I met him. And so here's the thing, because he lived longer than they expected, his insurance money ran out. This was that fine print at the bottom of your insurance policy that says that if your medical bills go above a certain amount, it might be $1 million or $2 million. They're like, okay, we out. We're not paying no more of these bills. So they were literally about to cut all of his medical coverage, right, just out of the blue. And they didn't even know that this clause was in there. All these people that were giving him hopes and prayers and making these promises, all those people were gone. And it was just me, him, and his mother in the hospital. And I remember watching this poor kid and just thinking about how much of his life he lost. And I felt so bad for him. And I remember him arguing with his mother because he was telling his mother, he said, "Mama, I just want to die." He said, "Sometimes I just want to die." And the mother was like, "No, baby, don't talk like that. Don't talk like," because she had dedicated her life to keeping him alive, but he wasn't enjoying life. He couldn't live life. There was no joy in getting up every day and having somebody help you to even breathe or talk, or he could barely talk to me. And when I saw that, it really affected me, because it made me at least say, I think I want to make sure, out of respect for him, one, I share his story. I don't have his name in front of me, though. I wish I had his name. But then two, I really think we all need to just know what we're getting into when we send our son on the football field. Sure, it's a 1 in a million shot, but it's also a 1 in a million shot that your child's going to make it to the damn NFL. So if we're going to talk about all the 1 in a million shots, we need to talk about all of them. There's that 1 in a million shot that you'll go to the NFL and make $100 million. And there's also that 1 in a million shot that you're going to take a bad hit, your spine gets cracked, the next thing you know, you're in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. So really, again, I think we have to consider our relationship with football and how deeply invested we want to be in that sport. One of the things I know about football and other sports is that the same energy, the same attitude, the same commitment, the same hard work necessary to do 2-a-day practices in 100-degree weather and do what you got to do to succeed on the football field, those same skills can be applied in business and will make you the biggest boss you've ever been in your life. The same attitude that it takes to go out and defeat and compete against other men and work yourself into the ground, that's the same attitude that The Rock used to be a guy who's going to be a billionaire one day. So sports is not the way out. Sports can be a pathway to you finding the way out. Sports can be the thing that gives you the value system that gets you to where you need to get to. Okay. And somebody says, it was his name Rocky. I believe that his name was Rocky. And also, by the way, I saw in the chat where somebody said they named their son after me. And I just really want to just stop for a minute and say, wow, I am honored and humbled by that. I don't think I've met anybody who said that they named their son after me. And so tell little boys, I said, what's up? And in a few years, hopefully you'll bring him into the podcast, because I got some things I want to share with him. So shout out to little boys. I'm really honored by that, and I'm flattered. So thank you for saying that. I had to stop it a minute and just acknowledge you. All right. So do me a favor, everybody. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm going to talk about my stock pick of the week in a second. I wanted to dig into this Mike Hickman thing a little bit, because this is so close to my heart. Because it's not just a financial topic. It's also something that really affects our community. And it's one of those hidden ways that Black wealth gets destroyed. You don't understand that bad culture will destroy wealth faster than a bad investment. Bad culture shapes how you view your resources. Professor James Small, who came on this channel, explained that a strong community controls the economics, the politics, and the culture in their community. The culture shapes your economics, because your economics will get you the dollar, but the culture shapes what you do with that dollar. Do you go and you give it away to a bunch of Europeans because you want to buy Gucci and Prada and you need that bullshit for validation? Or do you go support a Black-owned business because you care about the community? Do you go and waste your money on a car, which is a depreciating asset? Or do you take that money and say, I want to invest for my children because I want to build an empire? So ultimately, this culture is a very big deal. So when I saw this whole situation with Mike Hickman being killed on the football field in a Little League scrimmage game, it made me think about bad culture and how so many now this guy, Aqib Talib, who played in the NFL for 12 years, worked his butt off, was very, very good. he's going to go broke because of bad culture. I don't understand. I really wish I could find out. Like, what is it? Who told you that it makes sense to be in the club getting into shootouts or to be bringing a gun to a football field? People knew this. There were people who actually said that they warned other people. Some people left early because they said, "Whoa, this dude has a gun. We're gonna get up out of here." And so I really think that culture is a little bit of a problem. I also think that maybe it's possible that we take Little League football a little too seriously. I get it. We're competitive. I get it. We want to win. I get it. You were state champion 20 years ago, and you're reliving your experience out there. I did that too. I was a track coach. When I was out there on the track, I wanted the kids to learn what I didn't learn. I wanted them to do the things I didn't do. I watch track and field to this day because I have a friend who actually was in the Olympics. His name, oh my goodness, why does his name disappear? I want to say his name because everybody should know about him. I don't have his name in front of me. Ronnie Baker, who was actually on my same high school track team, but he was 20 years younger than me, so he went to school later than I did. He was the 5th fastest man on earth, but I believe he's the fastest man on the planet because every man who beat him in the Olympics, Ronnie has beaten that man before. So Ronnie is that good, that fast. And I talked to Ronnie and I said, man, I'm so proud of you, not just because you're a good person, you're from my city and from my school, but you're really living the dream of all the things I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to line up with Fred Curley and the fastest men on earth and run the Olympic final, the men's 100-meter dash, and you really did it. So it really excites me to watch you do these things that I wish that I used to dream about doing. So I understand that. That's my point. I'm saying I get it. We see our boys out there playing football and we are just kind of connected to that experience. But God damn it, stop taking the shit so seriously, man. These are children, dude. These are kids. And this is not your life. I'm sorry. I know I'm not trying to diss anybody or do anything. But what I'm saying is, there's something. You got to reassess when you are a grown 45-year-old man and you're ready to fight somebody over a Little League, Pee Wee League football scrimmage. Are there any other things worth fighting for that are bigger than that? What message do we send to the children when you are the leaders of the community? You're the OGs. You're the bosses. You're the fathers. You're the leaders. And what is a child supposed to think when their daddy, who's like the rock of their life and the lead, or their football coach who they look up to because their daddy isn't there, is really out on the football field trying to get thugged out at the age of 47? Man, thugging ain't cool when you're 47 years old, brother. Maybe when you're 22, you can say, hey, I was under the wrong influences. When you're 47, dude, you are a grandfather. Some of y'all should know we should not on any level be condoning. When you talk about Dr. Claude Anderson and Powernomics, when he talks about inappropriate behavior, we cannot, as men and women or anybody, as Black people, condone the behavior of 47-year-old thugged out grandpas who want to go out here and fight like they teenagers. Let it go, man. Okay, it was a bad call. That's what I read up on the whole situation. I read up on that one team, and it was 13-7, and they stopped him on a 4th and 1, and everybody was excited. They called a taunting penalty, which I hate. I hate penalties like that because the taunting penalty gave the ball back to the other team. So that's what caused Aqib and his brother to get mad, and Aqib ran out of the field and decided, allegedly, according to the video, to punch somebody, and his brother pulls out the strap and shoots the dude. Okay, I understand how all that happened, and I get it. If I were the coach, I'd be pissed too. I'd be mad as hell. I hate stupid penalties. Like, referees shouldn't even be making calls like that at the end of the game. I get it. But then there's a point where you say, it's just the children's game. And I got grown man shit to do back at home. It's just the kids' game. Like, it's just children. It's babies. Like, these kids in 2013, these children were being born. Like, they were in diapers. Just 7 years ago, they couldn't walk. They couldn't talk. They were infants. So you're literally killing each other. And again, I'm not saying everybody's responsible. The 2 people allegedly, according to the reports, responsible for this whole incident are Aqib Talib, who allegedly ran out on the field and threw the first punch. That's where his role is in this process. He did not squeeze the trigger, but they claim that he instigated this, which is why I believe he's going to be sued. Mark my word, I believe if he doesn't get sued, I'll be stunned. I'll come back in and I'll apologize and try to find out what. But I believe he's going to get sued and it's going to be massive. These lawyers don't play. When they see you got money, they suing him for every penny he's got and every penny he'll ever make. And then his brother Aqib, maybe because he was triggered to see his brother in a fight. I get it. I have a baby brother. You beating up on my baby brother, I'm going to get pretty upset. And his brother allegedly pulled out the gun and shot Mike Hickman. That's how it all went down. So if you're wondering why Aqib is connected, it's not just because he's related to the guy who pulled the trigger. It's because allegedly he started the incident that led to the shooting. If you are involved in that way, then believe me, you are going to be involved. The police may actually charge you. It's just like if I scream fire in a crowded theater and people get trampled going out the door, I might get charged for causing a riot or instigating the whole situation. So Aqib's problem is that he's seen as the instigator in all of this. So he's gonna get sued. And I just really and then I even think about youth football. One other thing about this is youth football. This is so interesting to me is that it's so expensive. Our son played youth football for a little while. That wasn't really his thing. He's 6'7", so they always wanted him to do sports, but he's actually got a really tall brain. He's not a great basketball player, not a great football player, and I never got on him about any of that. But he and of course I'm not his biological father because I'm not 6'7", but I'm his bonus father. I'm his mentor. I guide him. I give him advice. And so one of the things that was interesting was we were talking about him playing youth football, and when his mother told me how expensive it was, I remember thinking that it's fascinating that you have some parents who will claim they can't afford to invest nothing for their kids, can't afford to pay for no after-school program so their kids can have a future, can't afford all the things their kids need, but will find the money to pay $1,200 for the child to play a sport. Now, again, this is not anti-sport, but it really speaks to priorities. Now, I'm not trying to say you should take your child out of basketball or take him out of football or take him out of track. I love sports. I was a coach. I think sports is important. However, I would say that I would challenge everybody in this room to at least promise me that you'll never spend more money for your child to play a game than you spend for your child to have a future. So when I talk about things, and I'm always talking about this ebook I created at blackmoneyminute.com. I'm gonna put the URL on the screen for anybody that wants it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's totally free. And it's literally something where I break down what I call the $5 a day investing plan. And that basically says that if you invest the same amount of money that some folks will spend on fast food, that literally your child could have $100,000 or more in liquid assets by the time they're 25 years old. Do you understand that is a better pathway to financial success for 99.9% of our kids than sports? I get it. If your child's going to be the next LeBron, then by all means, get them in the NBA, help them get that bread. LeBron got a $50 million contract. I think that's great. I don't feel bad for LeBron or anybody like him. The people I feel sorry for is that 99.9% of all kids who think that they're as good as LeBron and can't even win a damn city championship. How in the hell? Think about how distorted our minds have to be for a kid who ain't even the fastest kid in his elementary school to literally think that he's going to make his living in the NFL. If you want to know why so many of our men struggle later in life, it's because after about 25 or 30 years old, you find that there's pockets of our community that are nothing more than a graveyard for broken dreams. Just literally a lot of men who are sad because their best years were in high school when they were competing for a state championship in football or basketball. So they're sitting there with a liquor bottle at 32 years old on the corner, talking about how they were the best basketball player in the city and they used to beat so-and-so. I played that 18 times. He can't beat me, man. He can't beat me. Well, yes, he can. Anybody can beat you because you're 33 years old and you got the body of a 60-year-old because you're drinking and smoking all day. Like anybody can beat you now. Like what you got to understand that when you talk about this game of life, there's levels to this shit. There's the children's games that you play when you are a child, and then there's grown man games that you play after the age of 18. So I get it. If you are a great athlete, that's wonderful. But my question would be, are you great at the game of life? And a good example might be Michael Jordan. One of the guests actually at the All Black National Convention is a guy named Larry Miller, who was the CEO of the Air Jordan brand. So if you come to the convention, Larry will be there. And Larry Miller is a good friend of mine. And Larry Miller is, I love Larry because not only is he pro-Black, but he has a lot of wisdom on business. He took Michael Jordan's Air Jordan brand from $300 million a year to $3 billion a year. He's a brilliant guy. And Michael Jordan, to me, is a great example of making that transition from children's games to grown man games. He played basketball. He did it well. He made a lot of money, but then he made more money as a businessman. And I really believe that even if Jordan were not that great of an athlete, he would have been a successful businessman because he had the right attitude and he applied that attitude to everything he did. And so ultimately, I think that as Black men, we have to really have those conversations. There are lots of things you can learn from sports about how to succeed in life, but you have to make that transition. You do not want to be the 35-year-old dude who's sitting there still talking about shit you did 18 years ago when you were in high school. That is not cool. That is not lit. Your children will look at you like you're weird if that's all you can offer them in terms of the wisdom that a grown man is supposed to offer. Now, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. On Instagram, it's about to end the Instagram live. I'm going to start it right back up so you can come right back in, but it ends after an hour. So I'm going to cut this Instagram live off. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, feel free to go to The Real Boyce Watkins. So give me a second here. All right. Okay. So let me bring in the Instagram folks again. All right. So by the way, if you want to know my stock pick of the week, I'm going to once I bring the Instagram folks back in, I'm gonna go ahead and give that to you in case you want to bounce out, because I know we've been talking for a while. I decided to talk a little bit longer today because the story about Mike Hickman being killed on the football field at a Little League game, it really got my attention, and it really it's an interesting conversation economically for sure, right? Because you're talking about just the high cost of immaturity, the high cost of a lack of discipline, the fact that this NFL player, Aqib Talib, had no business being involved in any of this. And I get it, though. Sometimes you have relatives that pull you into situations that you shouldn't be involved with. And I really hate it for him because he's going to go broke off of this. And one of the things you have to understand is that there are people that depend on this. There are people who depend on bad culture as a way to extract wealth from athletes. The way they look at you, the way they talk about you is they say these Black men have no discipline. These Black men will chase anything that looks like a big butt and a smile. These Black men, they want to go thugging out. They want to go throw their money away. They want to go do silly things with their resources. So ultimately, you've got people, these nerds that went to Harvard and Yale, who went to law school, who are sitting there waiting for you to mess up. They're waiting for you to be distracted by the booty and the bling and the status and all these other things so that they can get your money. They can get your money by defending you in the court of law when you end up almost in prison like Henry Ruggs III. These lawyers are going to make probably $1 million or more off of him. When you talk about Aqib Talib and this whole situation where he decided to run out, allegedly, according to the video, according to witnesses, to run out and punch Mike Hickman, who was shot by his brother. Well, now there's going to be a massive lawsuit filed. So ultimately, one of the things that people forget about wealth is they don't understand that wealth don't mean nothing if you can't protect it. And protecting your wealth don't just mean fighting it out. Protecting your wealth also means smart decision making. Protecting your wealth means understanding when the game has changed for you. When you're navigating the world as a wealthy man, you can't navigate the world like a thug. Tupac died because he was a wealthy man trying to navigate the world as a thug. I love Tupac. I thought his music was brilliant. I thought Tupac represented so much. I think Tupac would have been great. Tupac would be a billionaire like Jay-Z if he continued to live. We brought Ice Cube in here, but here's the thing. I want you to pay attention. When you talk about that, a lot of this gangster stuff in hip hop especially started really in the 90s with people in my generation. So if you look at even gangster rap, you can discern when you divide all the Black men who were making millions of dollars at that time in gangster rap, all of them could have been billionaires, especially Suge Knight. Suge Knight could be as rich as Elon Musk right now if Suge Knight didn't have the bad culture. It was the toxic culture that caused him to go in the other direction, where he's now serving all these years in prison. But Suge Knight was running Death Row Records. Death Row Records at that time was basically like the Apple computer of hip hop. They were literally the most lit, most powerful record label on the planet that everybody wanted to be a part of. They were bigger than Cash Money Records has ever been. Death Row Records could spit on a record and pee on it, and it would be a number. It would be a diamond, platinum, whatever the hell they do in it. I don't know what the different levels, gold, platinum, diamond, like all that. They were literally printing money at Death Row Records. Well, why did Death Row Records not become the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate it should have been? Bad culture. Bad culture will destroy your economics. You can't navigate as a wealthy man when you are throwing Negroes out the window because they wouldn't sign the contract, or you showing up putting guns to people's heads and punch them in the face. All that thug stuff, we were fed that into us. We were fed to believe that we're supposed to be the most violent, the most thuggish, the most hood, the most whatever, and I'm going to keep it real no matter what. Well, in that era, I'm going to give you some, this is Uncle Boyce talking. I hope it's okay. Give me a yes if it's okay for me to be Uncle Boyce for a minute. But Uncle Boyce would say, I need you to look at those rappers, and I don't want you to separate them in categories. You had the ones who took it too far, and then you had the ones who decided not to play checkers but chose to play chess. So you have the checker players who are thinking about the next move, and then you have the chess players who are thinking 8 moves down the block. So the checker players were Eazy-E. Eazy-E, remember he used to rap about how he would take a woman's vagina and put it in the freezer and all that, and then we want to uck you, we want to uck you, Easy. I want to uck you too, right? So he's getting all these women and getting in the bed with anybody that moves. What happened to Eazy-E? Anybody know? Eazy-E ain't with us no more, right? Died of AIDS. But that's what happens, when you do things like that. Not making fun of it, just calling out for facts. Suge Knight, he played checkers, not chess. Suge Knight, keeping a gangster, toughest guy in the room, had a big red jacket. Let me show you. I'm gonna show you all my Suge Knight jacket. Look, let me show you. So, out of immense respect that I have for Suge Knight's brilliance, I'm gonna wear my Suge Knight jacket. Suge Knight, in my view, had the greatest opportunity of anybody. Not just because he had access to these rappers and all that. He wasn't the entertainer. He was the boss. Suge Knight would walk in real big with the cigar, and he would just he was telling Tupac what to do. In fact, y'all know Willie D's my buddy from the Ghetto Boys, and I know Ice Cube and all. I know some of those guys. And somebody told me a story that Suge slapped Snoop Dogg. I don't know if that's true or not. But that's the story, right? So Suge was the boss, and y'all know I believe in being the boss. I think it's great when black men are the boss. But the thing about being the boss is that there's a saying that says, "With great power comes great responsibility." And the thing about being the boss is that if you let it go to your head too much, then it can ultimately lead to your downfall. And so now Suge Knight is in a very unfortunate situation, and I'm not making fun of him at all, because I think the guy was brilliant. He had the vision. He wouldn't bail Tupac out and came out with the hottest hip hop album of the year that year, one of the first double albums of all time. But again, bad culture. I'm making this point here because you guys know I'm a finance guy, and my PhD's in finance. It's real. It's legitimate. I understand it at a very, very high level. And one of the things I need you to understand is that if your culture is not consistent with your economic objectives, that culture will destroy everything you've got. That culture will undermine your inherent ability to protect the resources that you have. And so the white man's always sitting there waiting to catch you slipping, because in their mind they're thinking, well, yeah, he got a whole lot of money, but look at his culture. Look at how he rolls. Look at how they live, and look at the choices they make. These guys, all they do is blah, blah, blah. All they do is sit and smoke and drink all the time. They're trying to keep it real. Well, I gave up keeping it real a long time ago. I'm like, man, if keeping it real means destroying my life, y'all can shove that shit up your ass. I'm not doing none of that. I'm not going to sit around getting high and drunk all the time. I'm not going to go rush to go give my money to the nearest white man that I see. I'm not going to run around here trying to get myself in situations that's going to get me locked up. I'm not going to run around here hating my women because we need our black women. I'm not doing none of that. So ultimately, what's really unfortunate is that you have a lot of young black men who feel that in order to be successful, they have to walk away from a lot of black male culture. And when you're talking about, again, Mike Hickman and this shooting, that's what I saw. I just saw like this excessive, like macho, like, like I'm going to be the alpha male, so I'm going to pull out the strap. And it's over a kid's football game, and you don't understand how ridiculous that can make you look. You're a grandfather. You shouldn't be on the football field fighting in front of your children when you're a grandfather. I get it. You might feel like you have to defend yourself. I understand, but there's other ways to fight besides just simply acting like a thug or trying to be gangster. So let's keep going. So I like this whole gangster rap discussion. So you have the guys that played checkers and the guys that played chess. Who played checkers? Suge Knight played checkers. Now he's in prison. Eazy-E played checkers. Now he's dead. Tupac played checkers. Tupac made Hit 'Em Up. I talked to a guy who was a very famous rapper at that time, and we talked about Hit 'Em Up. And you remember Hit 'Em Up? First fuck it and the click you claim, but running quick with game. Y'all remember that, right? So one of the things that he said when I heard that song, I knew. He said, man, I told my friend somebody's finna get killed. That's what he said. He said somebody's about to get killed. And so when Tupac made Hit 'Em Up and literally was being very irresponsible with his power and saying, I'll come to New York and kill everybody, right? Well, then at that point, it's kind of like, man, how can you say these things and not expect to have a very short life? And I get it. You're a soldier. You're in it. You want to prove how tough you are. But Tupac, think about all the great things he could have done if Tupac had lived to be a grandfather. Snoop is probably going to be a billionaire because I see Snoop on Call of Duty video games. I play Call of Duty with my son. They have a Snoop Dogg video game character, and you can't tell me he didn't make over $100 million for that. You can't tell me he didn't get major paid off of that. He's in. I saw a Jamie Foxx movie last night. Snoop Dogg is in the damn movie. Snoop Dogg is probably the best cannabis spokesperson on earth. I mean, if you're talking about like somebody that can convince people to go smoke a lot of weed, Snoop is your guy. Now, I want to warn you guys, you need to listen to Dr. Wesley Muhammad, who explained that they're manufacturing cannabis in a way that is destroying the brain cells and the productivity of young black men and maybe even making them feminine. I don't know. But you need to look into some of that because when they start chemically altering that shit, it's messing up your youth. And the best way to destroy black youth is to get them so hooked on drugs that they're not productive, that they can't think straight, and that they become slaves again. They become a slave to the dope. So dope is a modern day form of slavery. If I enslave your mind, I don't have to enslave your body. Because if I get you so much where you're spending all your time chasing the crack pipe, then you can't be chasing the battle against white supremacy. You can't be chasing my money. You can't be chasing power because you're chasing crack. Right. So you're a slave. You're out of the game. You're disqualified. So you got to be careful about the mass promotion of drugs and drug culture to young black men. I believe this is not a coincidence. Right. But still, Snoop Dogg is probably going to be a billionaire. Ice Cube is probably going to be a billionaire. Dr. Dre is already a billionaire. Diddy is a billionaire. So the difference between, in my view, the difference between the guys who are billionaires, Jay-Z, let's throw him in there too. The difference in these hip hop guys that are going to be billionaires and the guys who didn't make it is the ability to play checkers over chess or chess over checkers. What do you choose? I believe that the black man, and this is something you can learn from games like football. I believe that the black man, to be successful, must learn how to be the most strategic person on the battlefield. I believe that to be successful, you have to have the best game plan ever. You have to be disciplined in a certain way. You have to know how to move in a way where you can get the job done and not have anybody take you out. I also believe that many of us have to take a moment and understand that when you get out here and you succeed, if you do find success, it takes a lot of work to become successful. It takes a lot of work to become wealthy. But once you become wealthy, you then have to deal with a whole different set of problems, which is that once you become wealthy, you become a target. And there are people that are going to try to do everything in their power to take that wealth away. Everything from gold diggers who might try to get pregnant with and have your baby, to lawyers who might try to sue you for any little thing, to relatives that'll feed you every sob story known to man, to people that are trying to scam you, to your lawyer and your accountant trying to get you involved in stupid business deals that have led to NFL players losing all their money. So when I think about this in terms of the economic conversation, because I know a lot of y'all come to me to hear economic stuff, and I want to make sure that's included as well. Aqib Talib, to me, I would probably just kind of say to him, look, if there's some thug stuff going on, I don't think you need to be involved in any of that. Again, when you got that kind of money, if you really want to be gangster, you could pay somebody to go and get in somebody's face, but you don't need to be anywhere near any of that because you're no longer a teenager and you're no longer a regular dude. So that's what I would say. That's my thought. I hope that it was taken in the spirit that it was intended. I did not mean to attack or offend anybody. I have respect for everybody involved. My heart goes out to Mike Hickman and his family. My heart also goes out to the other victims, which is Aqib Talib and Aqib and their family. I believe these guys are victims. I really do. I think that when you see a black man who does something that's just outrageous, out of character or whatever, again, you have the whole CTE issue, which is heavy in football. People don't talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it here. But then number two, I think that sometimes culture can lead you astray. Culture can make you think that manhood is something that is absolutely not. Culture can make you think that you want to keep it real for your boys when really ain't none of your boys going to be around when you are taken away from your children for the next 40 years because you have to do time in prison. I just spoke to a guy the other day who just got out of prison after 30 years after a shooting at the club. He shot somebody at a club. And I'll be damned. I swear, if I had a nickel every time I heard about a black man going to prison or dying because somebody got shot at the club, I'm gonna vomit. This was the number one reason back in the 90s when I was coming up. I heard about too many guys getting shot at the club and getting into shootouts at the club. I said, I'm not going to the damn club because going to the club, I need hazard pay to walk up in that motherfucker. If there's people getting shot because you're together to have a good time, there is something in the water that I don't want to drink. There's something toxic out here that I don't want any parts of. And so to me, this football incident where you got 45-year-old grandfathers out here thugging like teenagers, that is a symptom of the collective mental illness that has been imposed upon you by this white supremacist structure that promotes media to you that makes you into something that you're not supposed to be. You're 40 years old, you are a role model. You're 40, you are the OG. You are the leader. You are the teacher. You are the guide. You are the coach. You are the inspiration. You are the person that brings sense to the situation. You're the person who brings conflict resolution skills to these young men. You're not the one who's supposed to go out here and act like a damn kid. And I felt the same way when I saw Will Smith slap Chris Rock. I like Will Smith. I met his brother. His brother's very smart. His brother, Harry, I talked to Harry for hours because Harry's so smart. His family's brilliant. I love this guy. And I love his family. And I did not understand the need as a 53-year-old man to run up and slap a 57-year-old man in the face. Again, you're grandfathers and you're fighting like kids. That ain't cool. Ain't nothing cool about that. You don't want that to be your legacy. I'm done talking. Thank you for listening. Let me give you my stock. I keep telling you guys I'm gonna give you the stock that I like, and I promise that I'm gonna deliver on that. The stock is it's the company. What's the company? It's an app company, and the ticker symbol is APP. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's called App Lovin'. That's it. The company's called App Lovin', and the ticker symbol is APP. Do I know when the stock's going to take off? No, nobody knows when the stock's going to take off. But I like this company a lot based on my research. So that's my stock pick of the week. If you'd like to also join us in class or anything like that, we have a great program. Basically, it should be called How to Make Money Without Working. And we talk about selling stock options and things like that as a way to generate income. You can go to drboyceprime.com if you'd like to join us. We're going to meet for class in a few days. And we're also doing a financial therapy session tonight because people don't understand how much mindset and psychology play a role in your wealth building process. So I actually got my wife to do some therapy sessions to help those of us who are trying to work with our family members to build wealth, who are dealing with financial anxiety, which is massive in our community. A lot of there's even things like financial infidelity. There's all kinds of stuff, financial trauma, believe it or not. She's a certified trauma professional. So ultimately we're doing that tonight, and we're gonna have some other stuff going on. So feel free to join us at drboyceprime.com. And that's it, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I will talk to you guys soon. Please have a wonderful day. I'm out. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.